Hey guys, because I'm sure you haven't seen enough of these already, today I am going to review the Silisponge. So I know this is super late. I know that everyone else has already reviewed it, but I wanted to because I barely got this. So according to my emails, I had ordered this on December 10th, 2016. It was expected to get shipped out between January 14th and 21st. And then it shipped out on January 12th. And I had moved out of that address on February or January, late January, whatever. It was a couple days before February because I moved to a different state and I still had not gotten it. I didn't realize it said that it was going to take a couple weeks to ship. I think it came from China. Long story short, I had to have my mom send it to me. So she barely got around to doing that, which is why I got this. I wanted to review the original before I reviewed any other of these silicone sponges because I wanted to be able to see how they compare to the original and so on. So I got this. It came like this, and when I took it out of the package, it was a lot softer than I thought it was gonna be. For some reason, I thought it was gonna be really hard, and with these edges right here, like these edges, I thought that they were gonna be hard. I don't know exactly what I was expecting, to be honest, but I feel like I have a little bit more hope now with this. I didn't think I was gonna like it, and on the back it does say you're supposed to fold it. It says, hold the sides and fold to create point for detail applications, which I don't really feel like I didn't really see anyone else do to like, I don't know, but I'm excited to try this out just because I know everyone else has tried it and I'm so late on the bandwagon, but I have hope for this. I know the whole point of this was, you know, it was supposed to not absorb any of your product and it's supposed to last you a lot longer. I could probably see this more for makeup artists that need to just do it very quickly in between clients or on a runway or something like that, but I'm gonna see how I feel about it. So today I want to try a liquid foundation and then also a stick foundation and some cream contour. So for right now, I'm not gonna like do it also with like a beauty blender on like one side of my face or anything like that because I know how a beauty blender works with all of these foundations. So real quick, I'm going to do my brows, and then when I'm ready for do the face, I will check back with you. So I'm gonna start off by using this L'Oreal Pro Glow in 201 and 203 because they just make my perfect color. And I'm gonna put this on half of my face and then I will do the stick foundation on the other half. I'm just gonna put a little bit on now. Okay, I think that seems like a reasonable amount. Okay. Supposed to smear and then pat. So I feel like it's a lot more smearing than patting. I feel like when you lightly smear it, it goes a lot better than when you tap it. Because when you tap it, I feel like it leaves a little bit of like a mark, opposed to like lightly smearing it. So I don't think that this is bad. I feel like it's taking so much more work, and I get with like the less product, but personally that's not something I care about. I feel like it's such a minuscule amount that you'll save that it's not really gonna do anything, especially over time. I mean, I can understand because I do buy a lot of beauty blenders because I feel like mine get gross really fast just because I use them so much and so heavily with so much makeup. So I can understand if this maybe lasts longer and it's also cheaper, it can last you more in the long run. So I feel like to be able to pat and like to get this to really set in, you kind of have to wait for the foundation to like half dry, if you know what I mean, to like wait till it kind of sets on its own before you can really kind of pat it in. I don't feel like the finish is like mind-blowing. I feel like it looks like I rubbed it into my skin a little bit more, so I feel like my skin is gonna have a lot more like foundation sunken into it than when I just pat it on top with like a beauty blender. Because I don't feel like you'll ever be able to like really blend out your foundation by just patting. You feel like you have to really, you know, smear it. Otherwise, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. I feel like it looks okay. I don't feel like it looks substantially better than a beauty blender. And I also feel like it was a little hard to get in these like little crevices, especially like right here. I feel like when you're tapping right here, it kind of like really pushes your eye. And like, I don't feel like it would help if I went like that, opposed to a beauty blender that's soft and it's gonna kind of form to whatever shape you're pushing it in. So next, I'm gonna try a stick foundation just because I do like stick foundations. And I am gonna use this iconic London pigment stick in 2.2. And it does have a little bit of oil on it from the last time I used it, but I'm gonna leave that because I usually do use a little bit of oil anytime I use a pigment stick. Foundation stick. This is a pigment stick, technically. But, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. And I'm gonna use the normal amount I would normally use. I'm gonna just try to pat this for now. I also feel like it makes like I feel like that would annoy me, like hearing like the weird slapping sound. It also feel like I can feel it whenever I'm like pouncing it back on, almost like it's sticking, making the foundation like stick to my skin, so like it's pulling up with it a little bit. With this, there isn't really a lot of smearing. So I feel like it's weird because I feel like I'm looking a little cakey on this side, like it's just not blending in because it's a lot thicker. Like on this one, I felt like it blended in too much, and on this side I feel like it's not blending in at all. Like it looks like it's just sitting on top of my skin and looking really cakey, especially like around my eye, on my forehead. It's just, especially like this just like slides on top of it too. I don't feel like that this is like moving around any product. So I know that this was technically like almost like a first impressions, but I feel like I can kind of evaluate whether or not I'm gonna like this kind of right off the bat. I don't feel like I need a long period of time of using it to kind of see how I feel about it. I feel like this is as best as it's gonna like be blended in, and I'm not really loving it so far. Like again, like this one seems too blended in, and then this one seems like it's on top of my skin, and usually this one will melt in, especially if I use the oil, which this had on top of it and kind of like down the sides already. And it's having a really hard time like blending out. Now I'm going to use my Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Kit in Fair, and I know it's a mess, don't judge me. All right, I know. I'm going to use some of my Farsali oil to put in these first to make them a little bit more blendable, because personally I cannot blend them out with anything without oil, but with oil they're my favorite thing ever. So I'm gonna put that just one drop in the shades I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna mix these two colors first, and I'm gonna put them under my eyes. And this is something I do often, so I know it blends out really nicely when I use my beauty blender, so I'm not worried about that. It is very thick though, even with the oil, so I'm almost wondering if it's gonna blend out like it did with the stick foundation. Then I'm gonna wipe that off, and I'm just gonna use the same brush for the contouring shades, and I'm gonna use these two right here. And I cleaned it off before, so I'm gonna start with my highlight or concealer, I don't know what you'd call this, my under eye lightening cream, whatever, and just kind of try to blend this out because there's no like smearing in this, you know. You don't really smear concealer, especially under your eyes. So I feel like it's really hard, especially because I've been trying to do like a snatched nose lately. It's kind of hard to kind of get this up exactly where I want to on my nose. Do you hear that? I still feel like it is pulling my skin back up with it a little bit. I don't know, it's just not looking blended to me. Like it does look blended to me like with my beauty blender, always. Especially after a while. I think it's kind of a good thing that the beauty blender absorbs product, because that way it pulls off any excess. With this, you kind of have to use a lot less, I think, and then if you need to use more, you have to build it up, and I just feel like this is kind of taking more of my time than I want to give it. Especially like day-to-day use, I think that this is taking a lot more blending than my beauty blender would. Like my hand's literally starting to cramp up because I don't think I've like ever focused so much blending on like one particular spot. Like I've literally been filming for like half an hour. I spent, I think, over 10 minutes just blending like each side of my foundation, which I don't think should need to be a thing. And now I'm gonna blend the contour, which I think is just kind of blending away. And then especially for like my nose, I don't think I could ever like nose contour with this, because you just, you know, usually with my beauty blender I use like just up to here and then like just a little bit down the edge, but there's no like a little bit with this. I guess I could like fold it and then like, so I feel like, I don't know, I don't think I'm a big fan of this. You know, I think it beats almost putting it on with your hands, but I don't think it beats a beauty blender. I mean, I guess if the terms are, does it use less product? Yes, it totally does. I think it totally goes with that claim. I wonder what else, if it actually says what else it does. Okay, so spreading product with it will take some getting used to. Final blending can always be finished with an oval brush or a usual sponge, for example, beauty blender. This means washing the oval brush or the sponge will be minimized and they will last a lot longer. It is ideal for people who don't like messy fingers during makeup, and I bet you can imagine cleaning this applicator will literally take no effort than rubbing it with soap and water. So I totally agree with what they're saying about less product. I feel like if you're gonna buy something and it's supposed to be like this hot new thing, you shouldn't also have to go in with a secondary brush. Like I know sometimes with my contour I'll use a brush with it to blend it out instead of my beauty blender, or I'll use both, but I don't feel like I should have to, especially because I know this is like kind of geared towards either makeup artists, which I totally get that aspect with, you know, them needing to, you know, wash it quickly and use it on so many people. I think it's great for that. I would say for the normal person every morning getting ready, I feel like this would take more time than it's worth. I feel like having to blend it out with this and then also blend it out with a brush or a beauty blender will take more time, and I feel like you're still either using a brush or beauty blender, so some product will still be lost, or you're gonna have to either double up to make the coverage better, especially since you're having to do two different things. Since it says you can use a secondary product for the final blending, I am gonna use this Iconic London foundation brush, because like I feel like it's just not doing what I want. So I feel like this isn't helping at all. I just don't feel like this went on the way I wanted it to. I was hoping it would just spread it, but I think that you need the fact that it absorbs a little bit of product and also the water aspect in the beauty blender to sort of make it not look cakey. Just for kicks, I'm gonna put some concealer under my eyes and then I'm gonna bake it, or try to bake it with this and see how that holds up, because I feel like this can't be your sole blending product in your makeup routine. I know it's not marketed as technically that because it says you can, but also I just want to try it. So I'm going to take my Sephora Gel Serum Concealer. I'm just going to put a little bit here, since I already did put a little bit, but I feel like it just kind of made it blend weirdly. So I really also don't like how if like I'm trying to get up in my eyeball area, how it kind of like pushes my eye. Can you see that? Like you kind of have to be like very lightly about it, and like usually with my beauty blender I'll just like kind of go, but I feel like this is about to like slap my eye. And I feel like it's also kind of splotchy. Like I'm looking in the mirror and it's not looking so great, then I'm looking in my viewfinder and it's looking way worse. I also feel like it almost hurts when I'm like hitting my nose with it because it's so firm. I'm a mess. I look like a mess. I'm sorry. So weirdly enough, another complaint I have with this is I feel like I'm dropping it a lot, and I mean I do drop things a lot. I feel like I'm dropping it more than I would a usual product, if that makes sense. Okay, now I'm gonna just try to do this with my air sponge powder with some powder that I had mixed into it because I was using the cap. I'm gonna see if it'll just like pick up some product. I mean, I guess it does. I feel like I need to like poke it all up in there. I feel like it definitely doesn't pick it up evenly though. Like it's in these like bigger chunks. Okay, anyway, now that I have powder all over me, I'm going to sit with this for a couple of minutes and I'll check back. Okay, so now I'm going to brush this off. Okay, and that is it for this. I mean, I don't think it looks the worst ever. I think it definitely looks better than if I probably were to only do it with my hands. But I feel like if you're trying to choose in between a beauty blender and this, you should probably choose the beauty blender. I think this is definitely a cool idea. I just don't think it's quite there. I saw another thing. It was like the EV blender or something like that, and it was, I think it was some sort of this material but in the shape of a beauty blender. So I would be curious to try that. I looked into ordering it, but it was like on pre-shipment and it was like more expensive than a beauty blender. So I don't know, I would like to try that, but we'll see. Maybe if I get that, then I can do like a battle of like beauty blender versus this versus the EV blender. But I'm gonna see when I can look into doing that. I just like hate waiting because I waited so long to do this and now I'm already like way behind. Everyone's gonna be like, why did you do a review of this? We already know. I'd be like, well, I felt like it was obligatory.